Yeah, I know I'm a little bit late to the news. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz has officially been announced for this summer. And I got to say, I found out about this because my friend messaged a group chat we have about fights. And I was like, oh my God, they actually did it. I can't say I'm like that surprised, but Nate Diaz is so hard to work with. I can't believe that he's actually fighting Jake Paul. But we're going to talk about all that in just a second. I do want to say before we get into it, hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. So this isn't, like I just mentioned, this is like kind of surprising, kind of not for me. I'm surprised that Nate Diaz had a deal. I can't imagine how much money he's getting. I'm actually curious. And usually I don't really care that much about what the amount the fighters are making. I'm not like completely into that UFC MMA fan circle. You know what I mean? But if this is like probably so easy, like Nate Diaz kind of just retired. Jake Paul just had his other fight. I'm a little bit interested to see, like, is this something where it's like Nate Diaz couldn't refuse and he was like, I'm down. I'm so down for this. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I'm not too interested in the fight because Nate Diaz has not looked the same in years. He's old now. He's clearly taking too much damage, and a lot of his fights, quite frankly, can get stopped by doctor stoppage because of a cut over his eye. Boxing gloves can still open that up. I think that Jake Paul is going to murder him. You have Jake Paul, somebody who's young, hungry, hasn't reached his prime yet, only getting better. He's taking this boxing stuff seriously. Like, no matter what you think about the guy, the dude's taking it seriously. You can see his training. You can see it in his fights. And I'm still skeptical on whether or not they're fixed because it's boxing, but that doesn't matter. Regardless, Jake Paul has some serious skill behind his punches. And Nate Diaz, yeah, you know what? He's an MMA fighter. But Jake Paul is probably going to outweigh him by God knows how much. He's going to be stronger by God knows how much. And he's just going to have a pace that Nate Diaz can handle. And so many Nate Diaz fans, and this is where it's stuck, because I'm a big fan of the Diaz brothers. Nick was one of my favorite fighters growing up, okay? So I don't mean this to say this like a hateful way, but the Diaz fans have this horrible tendency to just, no matter how old they get, and some of them even say this about Nick. Well, you know, it doesn't matter because they would win either way. They would just win because they have the cardio. They're going to put a pressure on them. When is the last time Nate Diaz has put a pressure on somebody? We haven't seen it in years. I don't even know how many fights ago it was. Was it the Conor McGregor fight? And even then, that wasn't really a crazy pace. A young Nate Diaz could have put the pace on, but Nate doesn't do that anymore. Nate doesn't look like he takes his training seriously. He's taken way too much damage, and ever since he was a millionaire, it doesn't seem like he cares. I mean, he didn't really care in the first place, but he cared enough to like train really hard and try to win. So many people are like, "Oh, Nate Diaz when he hit Leon Edwards with that one shot." So many fans are like, "Oh yeah, Nate Diaz could have won that fight if he didn't try to finish Leon Edwards, but instead didn't go for the finish." Nate Diaz was too tired to go for the finish. Nate Diaz was too beat up to go for the finish. I think that was Nate Diaz's way of just making it seem like that he won, because now when Nate Diaz walks around, all his fans talking about like he beat Leon Edwards, the current welterweight champion. It's a little bit smart on Nate Diaz's part, to be honest with you. The point is, I believe if you think that Nate Diaz is going to put a pressure on Jake Paul that Jake won't be able to handle, I think you're nuts. Jake's going to actually hurt him with his punches. Nate's fighting someone completely out of his weight class, fighting somebody younger in his prime, probably on something. I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul was on something. And who knows if this fight's going to be fixed. I'm still a little bit worried about that. I think Jake Paul controls way too much for me to be really committed to it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I'm skeptical. That's all. Jake Paul, the last time that I looked at it, he was about a 2-1 favorite. And I am going to be betting all day on Jake Paul. I'm actually going to be betting on this. I don't think there's any way. And even if you want to take it to the step where it's like, okay, Jake Paul needs to lose. This isn't the guy that Jake Paul needs to lose to. Like Tommy Fury was that guy. Jake Paul is not going to lose to Nate Diaz. Does Nate have the boxing skill? Absolutely. Is he going to be slower? Yeah. Is he going to be weaker? Yeah. Smaller? Yeah. I don't even know if he's taller. Doesn't really matter. Jake's punches are going to hurt. And I won't be surprised if Diaz just quits like Nick did last time he fought. He's going to go in there for a payday. He's not going to care at all. He's going to just do this. Get hit again, and I could just see that being the entire rounds. And then Nate will like eventually he'll act like he don't care. You know when Nate does that? You know when Nate acts like he doesn't care, but he's only acting like that because he's losing? That's what's going to happen here. He's just going to be like bang. Slap once, and then the Diaz fans will be like, "Oh my God." Like, and I'm saying this as a Diaz fan. He doesn't try anymore, but that's because he can't win anymore. He's too old for this. Too much damage. He's going to be there for a payday, and he's going to lose. There is no scenario where I see Jake Paul losing this fight. This is where I want to leave it up to you guys, though. Am I crazy in what I'm saying, or am I bashing the Diaz brothers too much? Let me know what you guys think down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new here and enjoy the content, please consider the like button would help out the channel a ton, and subscribe if you are brand new. Check the description down below for links to all my other channels, and if you want to see 2 fantastic MMA videos, check them out right here. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.